Welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings, with me, Gretta Chamberlain, and the Realm of Beings. Shifting Impressions, which is one of the vehicles that supports the transmission of the Realm of Beings, is here to assist you in delving into your being by providing numerous topics and discussions for you to intake as you deepen your connection with your inner world. Shifting Impressions is here to assist you in strengthening yourself as you excavate to understand your true nature. Join us today and learn to shift your mindset, shift your thoughts, and shift your focus to recreate your life and produce a new you. Shifting Impressions starts now.
To Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. I'm Leigh, and I'm here with Gretta, and Carol returns this week, and as always, the Realm of Beings. And we are very pleased to be on Transformation Network, live on Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Shifting Impressions will help you look at your life and your creation of reality to see what shows up, what you're creating, and perhaps how you can maybe look at that differently. Every week, we discuss a quotation that Gretta has downloaded from the Realm of Beings, and then in the second part of the podcast, the Realm gets to weigh in on their quotation. So before we get to our quotation of the week, Carol has some announcements that she'd like to share with you about where you can see and hear Gretta in the upcoming weeks. Carol?
Thank you, Leigh. Hey, listeners, I'm very happy to be back. I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday. I'd like to let people know that Gretta did a wonderful interview on a podcast called New Realities with Alan Steinfeld. And he also is going to be at the same Conscious Life Expo that Gretta will be with the Realm of Beings in February 11th. From 12 p.m. to 1:30 on Sunday. This is at the LAX Airport Hilton Hotel. That's, of course, Pacific time. It's going to be a discussion of creation of reality. And based on the previous expos Gretta has done, I have to tell you, get in there and get your tickets now because they go fast. And if you have a chance on YouTube, you can catch New Realities, Gretta's interview with Alan. It's wonderful. So thank you, Leigh. Let's go ahead and proceed.
Sure. So this week, I believe in, maybe preparation for the upcoming new year, 2024, we will be asking, are you afraid of change? So the quotation this week is, each one of you is a strong person who can adjust to change. If you see the adjustment as difficult, then you will create it to be challenging. See your adaptation to the change as easy. See it as working for you. So here we are in the last few days of 2023, and we're talking about change. So many of us try to set intentions and create new things for the new year. And, I think this is a great way to start off, with those intentions, see them working for you. And we've talked on so many podcasts about the focus, focus on wanted and less focus on unwanted. So where do we want to open this discussion up, ladies?
Well, I looked at this as an internal reflection of myself and my life and realized that I am perhaps making my adjustments difficult and challenging. And I always assumed that I was extremely flexible and adaptable, and I looked forward to change. And I guess the old adage, like when you're in your old age, you don't want to do change anymore, seems to be true in my case. So this is a very apropos quote for me, especially at this time of the year. Greta?
Yeah, I'm going to chime in. Change can be very difficult for people like Leigh, like both of you. Like Leigh said, this is the time where we set our intentions. I'm going to do better this year, but what does better mean? You have to be more specific with that. But we think that we're not strong enough to deal with the changes. Some changes that can occur will be easy because we're going to make them easy. Some changes are going to be more challenging. We might take on some new health issues that we wonder how we did that. But the thing is, regardless of what we've created to experience, you want to concentrate on moving through ease, by way of ease. So an affirmation, I can give that affirmation today, and that's one that we've given other people, and it is that I am experiencing moving through my life, creations of reality with ease at every moment. So we're declaring that is what I'm experiencing. It's going to be, I don't care what it is, I'm going to move through it with ease. You're going to say something, Carol.
When I first met Greta quite a few years ago, it happened to be right after a new year, and I had written down what I thought were my affirmations or resolutions. And when I reviewed them with Greta, she ended up letting me become aware of the wording I was using. And I'd like to point that out to our viewers, to be careful of the wording you use in your speech, in your thoughts, because if you're stating something you don't want, you're still going to attract that to you. So be careful with your wording of your resolutions, and always use the I am experiencing. And that was my very first lesson from Greta when I very first met her, and I've never forgotten it. To this day, any affirmation I use or I write down, I don't say it until I've had Greta's approval on it. So
thank you, Carol. Yes, we want to say I am experiencing, because the affirmations which support your change can be stagnant or dynamic. And stagnant means that they are the I am happy. I always use that one. I am happy. So when you say I am happy as an affirmation, you're declaring I am happy at that very moment, but you're not thinking of the other moments that are in existence. I am happy, because you can turn around 5 minutes later and be unhappy. So you want to put I am experiencing this. I am experiencing being happy at every moment of my existence. Or I am experiencing being happy through all my creations of realities. Or I am experiencing being happy as I interact with others at all times or at every moment. We kind of get away from that word time, since time does not really exist. It's part of our illusion, but that supports your change. You've got to declare the change. You've got to, another word for declare would be claim. You've got to claim it. You've got to own it. This is mine. If you don't own it, the energy which supports you in your creation of reality will go, she doesn't really want it. So we're not gonna give it to her. She doesn't really want that at all. So I can feel Leigh's brain turning and turning and turning. What are you thinking, Leigh?
Well, I mean, the title of the podcast is Afraid of Change. and I'm just trying to understand why sometimes we're so resistant to the change, even if it is something that we, are think we are wanting, as humans, kind of why that is. And, sometimes I know that when I have some change that I would like to experience, I have a tendency to maybe lose focus on it because perhaps, based on, let's just use the word for lack of something else, previous thought patterns. I have been experiencing a couple of, physical body challenges. And when I read the mental equivalencies in the book, it talks about being, too much living in the past. And I say, oh no. But then when I actually think about it, when I stop, I feel all, the thoughts that I'm having are just so past oriented. And I can see that what I'm creating are those same things. So, I am going to this year do a physical exercise to try and this might be super basic. This might be kindergarten level focusing, right? But I will literally, I think it was Buddha who said, tend to your garden and watch it grow, right? So I am literally going to sort of take physical seeds and plant them in physical earth. So I have to tend to those intentions so I can, remind myself, on a daily basis, have like a physical reminder for those intentions that I want to focus on. So whenever I water them or when I watch them grow, I will remind myself of what I want to experience.
I think that's great. And what Carol was going to say something.
Oh, I was just going to say that I think that people are afraid of change because of fear of the unknown. And you hear all the time of people staying in what we might consider unfavorable circumstances where it's obvious to others that they should change their situations, and yet they don't. And it's more of a comfort level because it's familiar. I find my difficulty to be the unconscious level. And no matter what I try to do, my unconscious is just like, nah, you don't really want it, like Greta said. So it's a constant focusing, as Leigh said. I think Leigh's expression about doing an actual physical task to remind herself daily, I think that's wonderful, because as your plants or flowers or whatever you choose to grow starts growing and blooming, you can see that within yourself, and it'll probably reinforce the strength.
Yes, I definitely enjoyed that device that you've created to do the garden, because we're like, you're looking at that garden, but what those plants and those seeds are doing is what we do all the time. We're constantly in a state of growing, constantly. And it's important for us to recognize that we love ourselves, because that quote said, each one of you is a strong person. How do you get strong? You get strong because you love yourself. See, that goes hand in hand. Love of self, appreciation of self makes you stronger, not weaker. Because if you're sitting around having a pity party over what you've created, that is not going to help you in the least, other than to create more of that which you are crying and weeping over. So you want to turn that around. And the change, how do you change? One of the big things is to learn to love yourself, because that opportunity stimulates and creates the realities that we're experiencing, what kind of support we're going to get. Because when you're changing yourself, you're going to bring other people into that change. It may be a family that you're going to bring in. It may be your child you're going to bring in to give you support in that. So love yourselves. That's a biggie. Love yourselves. When you love yourselves, it also says in here, see your adaptation to the change as easy. When you love yourself, the more and more you love yourself, the easier your change is going to be. Because it takes you away from being inflexible to flexible. It takes you from non-appreciation of self to appreciation of self, knowing that you can do this. So it supports being a strong person.
Greta, I think, even Carl Jung had said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And of course, we know of creation of reality, there's no such thing as fate. Much of what drives our thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and life choices exists beneath our conscious awareness. And if you're attributing the outcomes to an external force or destiny, you're absolving yourself of your responsibility. What is the best way for us to get to the unconscious and make it understand what we need to change about it?
It goes back to what I've just said. Love of self. Show yourself that you love yourself. When you start doing that, and if you're in like a family situation that you're not that happy in, but if you love yourself, that situation must change to support you where you are now. And that's loving yourself. If you're in a situation where you are emotionally or physically abused, that is because you aren't loving yourself. When you flip the script, everything else has got to flip with you. I'm not saying that it's going to be that way instantaneously. Things, sometimes you have to evolve through these things, but it's going to put you on that path. So go ahead, Leigh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying that evolution is, there are a lot of items, let's just say, floating around in our unconscious. So, they have to come to the light of day for us to even, those unconscious things have to, come into our consciousness so we can understand that they exist, right? And that can be a process. And I suppose it's a process because, it's a process of building strength, I guess, right? Because if everything in the unconscious came up at once, I think that's maybe when people have like psychotic breaks or something like that.
Overwhelming meltdowns.
Right, exactly. And I was just thinking, when both of you ladies were talking, back to my little garden analogy, and I was thinking of those seeds, and all of our or many of our conversations are about all of these changes are the internal changes, like they cannot be external. And when I was thinking about the seeds and as above so below kind of thing, that seed contains all of the information inside of it to like grow into that beautiful, abundant, healthy plant, and so do we. if we tend to ourselves properly.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely, most definitely. And that tending to ourselves, it goes back to that same thing, loving yourself unconditionally. That means with whatever you create, you're still going to stay in that stance of loving self. So it fits with the garden. The garden is growing. We're growing too. We're in a state of evolution all of the time. We're never not, and I know that makes a positive in English language. So the English teachers out there, forgive me, but I got to use that. Never not in a state of creation of reality. So we can decide which way do we want to go. That's the change. Every time you change, you create a new reality. So one method that I use, like if you want a new job, write down what you want to experience in that job. Write it down on paper. You want a new mate? What do you want to experience with that new mate? Write it down on paper. What you want to change your whole life for the whole year, for next year, you're looking forward to 2024. Write down what are the changes I want to see in my life. You want to remodel your home. Write it down on paper. What do you want your new remodeling sequence or section or process be like? Because I tell people, a lot of people don't like to write. They just don't. If I can avoid writing, they like to tell me. I said, don't tell me. Write it down. See Leigh smiling because she knows I do that with her. I said, write it down. Because see, when it's in your head, let's talk realities. When it's in your head, it's in one reality. You want to bring it closer and closer and closer to actualization. So when you take it out of your head and you put it on a piece of paper, you're beginning to bring it into this reality. So writing it out on paper is very important. Not only that, but it gives you a chance to look at it, re-look at it. You remember your consciousness only holds so much. And then after a while, it's not going to hold. It's not going to hold anything more. But the unconscious never forgets. It doesn't forget when you sneeze. It remembers that you sneezed 15 times. It remembers everything. So we want to, since we know that the consciousness does not necessarily hold everything, if we put it on a piece of paper, we can go back, we can look at it. What do I need to change? Oh, I don't like that. Scratch it off, put something else there. So you're building more and more about what you want. So I think writing is very important. I know some people, I'm sure some people in our listening audience use journals. They write in journals, about their life. So you can journal now, what do you want to experience? And decide what do you want to experience in each thing? If you just say, well, my goal is or my intention is to create a different life, and that's where you stop. Well, what does that mean? You don't know what it means. It can mean anything. So you want to write it out, be a little bit more specific. When I was first learning about creation of reality, I was taught, don't be too specific. And I understand that, and I can understand reasons why they would tell you not to be too specific, because you may miss something along the road. But if you're not your intention is not that you're going to miss anything along the road, then you can write it down and you can be specific. Now going overboard is if you're a female and you want a male. I want him to be 5'8". I want him to weigh 160 pounds or 210 pounds. Now that's getting, and I want him to have blue eyes. Now that's getting a little bit too specific. So, you want to stay away from those things, but you want to write, what do I want to experience? What do I want to experience with a new mate? One thing you might want to do is say, I am, you got to declare it. I am experiencing attracting a new mate who supports me in being joyful. Because he can't bring you joy if you're a female, or she can't bring you joy if you're a male. But because you gotta be in that state yourself. You gotta bring joy to yourself. Nobody else can bring joy to you but you see. So writing, I think, is one way. Affirmations is another way. Creative visualization is a way. Meditation is a way, because it increases your focus on something. Yeah.
Greta, would you say speaking it also helps to strengthen it?
Absolutely. Absolutely, if you speak it. Some people ask me, do I have to say all of it out loud? No, you can say it in your mind as well. But to say it often and to say it with meaningfulness inside of you and intensity, and to see it done, you got to claim it and see it done. So you see the end. You see the end. The end is, I am experiencing a new mate. That's the end. But you're focusing on that. But when you're focusing on it, you've already written down what type of person you want to bring to yourself. And that's important, because some individuals loop. I know I did. They loop in the mates that speaking of myself, I was looping. I kept doing the same thing over and over and over again. Different person. I was changing, all right. I was changing the person, but I didn't change the lesson. So that change is also about the lesson.
When you were, I just have a fast question. So, oftentimes when we're writing something, or like in the QDRs phase, like, can you add that word lesson in? Like, I release the thoughts and emotions that are assisting me in creating and maintaining the lesson of not valuing myself. Like,
yes, absolutely. In the QDR, which means quick displace replace, it works. Everybody that says it, everybody that does it, the energy just zaps that whatever you want right out of you. And you say, I release all emotions and thoughts, because the thoughts come first and then the emotions kick it in. That's how this works. I know some psychologists were trying to figure out, is it what comes first? It's like the chicken and the egg, type thing. So, but really, for the creation of reality, you have a thought, and then the emotions come along and push the thought into actualization for you.
So we can do that, Greta, because I don't think we've actually talked about this before, even in an offline conversation, where when you're releasing all thoughts and emotions that are supporting and maintaining me in, XYZ in my anger, so we can add that the lesson of anger in there.
Yes. In fact, you can even say, just like, I release all emotions and thoughts that support me in creating, maintaining my lessons dealing with anger.
Okay.
I wouldn't even say lesson. I would say lessons.
Right. I'm sure there are multiple.
Yeah. All those things. There are so millions of realities that we create, because we're creating so fast. And we're not sitting around counting, okay, this is reality number one, this is reality number two. But we are experiencing it, and we experience it. Some of us create so fast, you know, like somebody will say, well, I want a new car. And then all of a sudden, you're a prize winner. You got a new car and you didn't even have to, pay for it. So yeah, I think it's time, is it? Carol, you're going to say something?
No, I was just going to say I did something yesterday that I felt strengthened my lesson of loving myself unconditionally. I decided to change cell phone carriers. And I was speaking to a gentleman at the company, and I asked him, "How was your Christmas?" And he said, "Oh, actually, it wasn't really good." And I asked him about it, and he shared why he felt it wasn't good. And I told him, you need to focus on loving yourself unconditionally. And as I was telling him that, it sort of reinforced it to me about me having to love myself unconditionally. So I think sharing the word sometimes can be helpful, which is probably why we're doing the podcast in the first place.
Right. For sharing our experiences with all of our listeners throughout the world, in fact.
Yeah.
We have listeners in Mexico, we have listeners in Canada, we even have listeners in the Ukraine, which I found was very, very interesting. So I say hi to all of you who are in the Ukraine and following our podcast. I thank you so much for doing that. And we see all of you there safe and secure. That's how we hold safe and secure and in peace, even though it's in a challenging situation. But inside that reality, you can still create peace for yourself. So for this new year, we see all people who are in conflict with others. We see, we're not praying for, we see it. We see peace throughout this world, throughout this reality, with all people. All people. Yeah.
That's
Somebody's
a good one.
Gonna take us. Yep. Somebody's going to take us out of here. Who's going to do that?
Listeners, we have reached our pause time in the podcast. We'll take a short break and we'll be back with what the realm has to say. Thank you for listening. We'll be right back. This is Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. Hello, welcome back to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. We've reached the point in the podcast where the realm gets to weigh in on their quotation. So, realm, are you present?
We are all absolutely, positively here.
Fabulous. So, the quotation we've been talking about on the verge of the new year is, each one of you is a strong person who can adjust to change. If you see the adjustment as difficult, then you will create it to be challenging. See your adaptation to the change as easy, see it working for you. What do you have to tell the listeners about it?
Stay focused. Stay focused on what you want. Stay focused on the reality that you wish to create. Stay focused. Because sometimes you can stray from the focus.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Absolutely. And when you stray, then just bring yourself back on the pathway. It's like a river. The river has tributaries. So you can stay on the river, or you can take one of the tributaries. And really, you're still traveling. But where are you going to wind up? Mm-hmm. Where's the river taking you versus where the tributary A is going to take you? Because you could have stayed on the river or you could have gone to tributary B, but you chose tributary A. Now, if you get down and the boat's going, you decide and say, oh man, I should have gone to tributary B. You can turn the boat around, go back to the river, and then go and find tributary B. You know, it's like taking a vacation, driving, and you have your GPS, you know, but sometimes the GPS, our experience with Greta is that it can take you off into a direction that takes you longer than if you had gone the way you knew you could go. So it's like, am I going to follow the GPS, or I know how to get to Aunt Jane's house? Let me just go the way I usually go to Aunt Jane's house. It's going to do, I'll get there faster than if I do the GPS. So that's, you know, which direction do you want to go? What do you want to do with your life? Because everything in your life, you are creating it anyway. You create everything. You create the people. You even create your own bodies. You create, I'm going to say it again, you create the people that you bring to yourself. If you're in a relationship that you consider to be quote unquote hell, well, note that you put yourself in the quote unquote hell, and now you can turn around, take another tributary, and place yourself in quote unquote heaven. But it's you. You are the captain of your ship. You are the director of your play. As you're the director, so are you the actor. You know. But one thing that keeps people from change, and it was mentioned by one of you this morning, was fear. Fear of the change, fear of the unknown. Be brave. Be strong. You are strong. You never lose your strength. You just wallow in the illusion that you're not strong. So when you can bring yourself up out of that illusion, and some people ask, how can you do that? I've been trying for years to do something and I have yet to accomplish it. Well, that's because you've decided that you want to continue in it. Because when you make a decision, I am not going to continue down this pathway anymore, you just change it. You turn around and walk another pathway. If you got lost, like the GPS was going to Auntie's house, you know, you could have stayed on the GPS. You would have gotten down to Auntie's house. But how did you get there? A little bit longer. You had to go by way of the beach, then down the road that took you past the forest, then down the road that took you past the vegetable stand, and then you had to go in a circle around 3 times, and then you wound up at Auntie's house. Whereas when you say, I'm going to Auntie's house, I've been there before, I don't need the GPS, I can shut it down, and you take a road and you're there in 5 minutes, whereas the other road took you about an hour and a half. But you decide which road you want to go. So in your life, what do I want to do with my life? You know, everyone here is in this human experience is connected to time, which is really an illusion, but you are very geared toward time. And so in keeping with that concept, then we'll say you're going into year 2024. See yourself strong. See yourselves ready to get out there and change. Because you don't have to stay any kind of way. You don't have fate. You don't have destiny. Those are just illusions. And I know there are groups of people, collective groups of people that believe in fate and destiny. I've got to stay here. I've got to stay with the GPS. You see, No, you don't have to stay with the GPS. No, you can lose the concept of fate and destiny and do something different. You're not destined for anything.
Realm, what I'm taking from your GPS story is to have faith in yourself, that you are strong enough, and trust your gut feelings to lead you in the direction that you want to go.
Absolutely. But some people feel they're weak. I can't do any better. No, you can do better, because each one of us is strong. Strong. You're the captain of the ship, so you lead the way. The ship is going to go where you want it to go. When the captain says, turn due east, what does the individual say? The sailor says, aye, captain, turn due east. They're going to do what the captain says. So what your worker is you're unconscious. So you say, unconscious, we're going due east. And the unconscious is going to say, aye, captain, we're going due east. Or you can say, let us turn and change to be more prosperous this year. Money prosperous. So then unconscious is going to say, aye, captain, let's create to have more money prosperity this year. You see, it's going to be an agreement. But sometimes if you're not sure, if you're on the ship and you're saying, well, I don't know if we should go due east, or maybe we should go due west, or maybe we should go north, you see, then the unconscious is going to just say, well, the captain doesn't know which way he wants to go, so let me make some decisions. So not knowing where you want to go, why is that fear? Is that mistrust of self? Is that lack of faith in self? Look at that when you're just saying, well, I don't know if I should do this, this, or that. You know.
Realm, how do we learn to trust ourselves more?
First you have to practice.
And how?
Some people walk on fire. You know, people that walk with their bare feet and they walk across the stones on fire.
Yes.
And they get to the other end and they're not burned. You know why? Because they trusted themselves, and they trusted that they were not going to burn. Their feet were not going to burn. Now, we're not saying that we want everybody to set up a bed of fire in their houses and everybody walk across these stones now. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that it's like you can QDR it. I release all emotions and thoughts that support me in creating and feeling, not trusting myself. You can QDR it. Or you can write an affirmation in your mind. I am experiencing trusting myself as I create my realities at all times. So we've given you a QDR, we've given you an affirmation. You can just simply say, but put that word experiencing there. I am experiencing trusting myself. I am experiencing trusting myself. So then you are reteaching the unconscious. See, the unconscious is supporting you in not trusting yourself. Because when you were a little girl, perhaps you walked up to the stove and you touched it and it burnt your finger. So what your decision you made, so you learned quickly that that was a decision you didn't want to make because it hurt you. So therefore you can reverberate. Remember, that's that new word we're teaching everybody. It can reverberate to the point that I don't trust anything I do now. So it's like to just say to yourself, make a decision which tributary you're going to take, or you're going to stay on the river. Staying on the river would be, I'm not trusting myself. Going to tributary A might be, okay, I'm learning that. I'm learning to trust myself. So that if you have a decision that you have to make, then you can say, I am making this decision. Now note what I'm getting ready to say to you. I am making this decision and it is beneficial for all. It is beneficial for all. That includes you, because you're included in the all. It's beneficial for all. Now, what is going to be the beneficial? See, everything is beneficial. Things that you can judge as being challenging and awful, and you can use all those low vibrational emotions to describe it, or words to describe it. The thing is, though, it's working for your good. Everything is working for your good, because everything surrounds that whole concept of lessons. Everything surrounds that. Everything is a lesson. Everything is a lesson. You know, so it's to decide, okay, I can do this. Just even telling yourself simply, if you don't remember QDRs, you don't remember affirmations, just say, I can do this. I really can do this. Take it down into your gut. I really can do this. Talk to yourself. I really can do this. If you want to shout it, I really can do this. You know, I really can love myself. I really can graduate with a degree. I really can. I really can pass this test. I really can. You see, that's affirming it. I really can. And then not only just say I really can, which sets the possibility in flow. You see, you're flowing down the river now. I really can. But then when you say that you really can, then you have to say, I have my degree. I have my house. I have my new job. And we always say, put the word experiencing. So I am experiencing my new job. I am experiencing creating and attracting a new mate. I am experiencing having more friends who interact with me. You see, I am able to do these things. I am experiencing. It's important to declare, I am experiencing. Absolutely.
Thank you, Realm.
So-
This is our final podcast of 2023, even though time is irrelevant. But before we wrap up, Carol, would you like to just make the announcement?
Just wanted to mention that I was given a little further information about the Los Angeles Expo. Gretta and the Realm will actually be there February 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. The 11th, which is the Sunday, is her workshop. No, the workshop is the 12th. The 11th is a class. So just go sign up for it. It's called the Conscious Life Expo. Get your tickets now. You won't regret it. It's a wonderful experience to have.
So,
And
listeners, thank
that's
you for joining us. And I would like to wish you like amazing creations for 2024. And thank you for listening. Gretta, Carol, the realm of beings, thank you for being here today. And until we create each other again, be well.
Once again, thanks for joining us at Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings on TransformationTalkRadio.com. As you have explored today's creation of reality experience with the realm and me, Gretta, each of you is being supported by us in further developing the understanding that you are not just an individual existing in linear time and space, but a multi-dimensional force of infinite possibilities who is connected to all. So begin to create the realities you want. Join us every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time and 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Shifting Impressions at TransformationTalkRadio.com. So long until we create each other again next Friday.